Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new episode of Geeks Me Radio. Tonight, we've got Lizzi Middleman and Ben Wilgus on talking Choose Your Own Adventure. How fun is that? Plus your chance to win a retro box set of the books. After that, my interview with legendary actor John Rhys-Davies about Indiana Jones, James Bond, and more. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
If you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you out there in our listening area. If you're streaming us on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you out there watching. We appreciate you doing just that. Of course, as always, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form on whatever platform you get your podcasts, hopefully you subscribed by now, left us a nice 5-star review. That always makes us happy, puts a smile on Joey V's face, my executive producer, sitting right across the board from me. And that covered all the bases, I think. I see CJ Robertson and Shannon Musler in the chats. Hello to both of you. We've got a very exciting show tonight. We're going to dive right in. I grew up in the 80s. I was reading Choose Your Own Adventure books and going through them as voraciously as I could as a child. And now we've got two of the people behind the Choose Your Own Adventure. It's chooseco.com is the website. We've got marketing director Lizzi Middleman, and we've got one of the editors, Ben Wilgus, on. Thank you both for joining us tonight.
Hi, thanks for having us. And just so everybody knows, our website is www.cyoa.com. So we are the company that is called ChooseCo of Choose Company, but if you're looking for us, that would be the best place to find us.
All right, so I'm allowed 2 mistakes tonight, so that's one already out of the way, but we've got that down. And if you're listening after the fact, go down to the bottom of the page. That will be in the show notes, cyoa.com, to check out all the stuff. I was on the website today, and I've got a tarot card deck that I got from the one they used in Live and Let Die, because I'm a James Bond fan. I found the exact tarot card deck. I didn't know there was a Choose Your Own Adventure tarot card deck. That's pretty crazy.
Yes, I know. I told you I bring props. I'm a props person. I know. This was a very fun release for us. The first time that we sort of expanded outside of just books. So thanks for plugging it.
Yeah. How do you know how that collaboration came about? Having obviously, I think of Choose Your Own Adventure, the books. How did the idea for the tarot card come about?
Well, we had been approached by a lot of creators, a lot of folks over the years, that it was such a natural combination of sort of, thinking about where you are in the world and making choices and sort of like the bigger picture. And we had recently done a license with a board game developer. So we had 2 board games that are out that are Choose Your Own Adventure board games. Mm-hmm. And so we were in sort of like the gaming space and thinking about how we could expand the brand. And it just, the timing was right. And so, it came out about, I guess, this summer now. Okay. It's been wonderful. It's been selling like hotcakes. I definitely would recommend it. It has a 128-page guidebook within it as well that also talks about like the history of tarot, and one of our in-house like Choose Your Own Adventure writers wrote that. And it's it's been awesome.
And I know I was at
a very genuine.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Ben, please.
I was just going to say, it comes from a very genuine place, too. There's multiple people at ChooseCo who are genuinely really big into tarot and are very excited to have the excuse to kind of put a lot of thought into this project.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I haven't seen that one out, but I saw it on the website. But I was going through Target, I think it was last year, I feel, and I saw one of the board games, and I was like, oh, and I thought it was a box set of the books, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a game. So how long has the gaming collaboration been going on?
Ooh. Wait, bad pop quiz, because I might say it wrong. But it's been a few years now, because first The House of Danger came out, and then The War with the Evil Power Master came out a year or two later. Maybe 2019. Let's just go with 2019 is when that came out. And yeah, I mean, what a great game. I think it was something that we would love to continue really leaning into. That's what we've been talking about is there's just like similarly, like there's just so much crossover between the gaming community and choose your own adventure books. Like obviously I think Ben can also sort of speak to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, well, for one thing, Lizzie, I'm not surprised. It's a little hard when you're inside to remember the timing of things because we spend so long working on these things before they actually come out that you live with it for a very long time before it's on store shelves, which can make the passage of time feel a little crazy. But no, everybody at Choose is really excited about the idea of doing more games. And also, historically, we've had a big presence in the kind of gaming store market, more so than a lot of other publishers do. And they've been really great supporters of ours. So we really want to listen to them and the kinds of things that they're interested in going forward.
And in the chats, hello to our friend Barry, listening from Cartersville, Georgia. Hello, Barry. And then we've got Kevin Cerise right here in St. Louis. Kevin's watching as well. I want to put it out there right now because this, if you're listening right now, this might come in handy later. My favorite Choose Your Own Adventure is The Mystery of Chimney Rock. Because even as a child, I loved getting scared. And as a child, that kind of, yes, see, there it is, that right there. But just some of the stuff that happened in the book, I was like, this would be so weird if this actually happened. And my grandma lived in this old kind of creepy house. So that kind of resonated with me on a certain level. Do you, when you're going through, and maybe Ben might be a good one to answer this, as the editor, when you're going through the books, are you looking to change much with the re-release of these? Are there references that are, well, it's a little dated now, you have to change up? Or is it, did they hold up pretty well as an overall product?
So it's interesting because historically, before I came on, there was definitely a tendency to want to modernize a lot of the books when they were re-releasing them. They'd make sense to kids, like take out references to phone booths, put in references to cell phones, that kind of thing. It's very interesting, though, with some of the books that we're re-releasing now, part of the appeal is that they were written in a very specific moment in time. So we tend to be pretty judicious with that kind of thing. We mostly just want to make sure it makes sense. So we'll change things if it's going to be confusing unnecessarily, but we really want to preserve the original feel of them for these books. And so most of the changes are actually, they come from the original author, Edward Packard, who's been going through the manuscripts. And because I can't really blame him. If I'd written something, that many years ago and I had an opportunity to rethink some of my choices, and I'm sure he was writing them on a crazy deadline.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I can't really blame him for wanting to move some of those commas around, honestly.
So we might not find a reference to a Walkman because obviously Gen Z would be like, what is that? So some stuff like that might be updated a little bit to something more modern. Yeah,
or often it's I think there's a couple places where we've changed it to 21st century instead of 20th century. For instance, if time travel is involved.
Okay.
Again, just because like the adults are just going to autocorrect it in their heads, but we don't want the 8-year-olds for whom that's ancient history to get confused.
So we did mention that all of you very kindly said you'd do a box set giveaway. And Lizzie, what else? So people are listening to like a box set. What's all in the box set for anyone who might be listening, who might be wanting to win that?
Yes. And so just to be clear, for any of the big, Choose Your Own Adventure fans out there who have been following our sort of republishing journey, the books that we are coming out with, like The Mystery of Chimney Rock, coming this fall, the Edward Packard titles, as well as the retro box, unlike the books that we have been publishing since about 2006, 2007, these will have the original cover art, the original interior art, all of that awesome, like Paul Granger goodness that we all love. And so these retro editions that are within the retro box, which are Bible into the Sahara, The Cave of Time, Space and Beyond, and Journey Under the Sea, these are as you will have remembered them, as opposed to, the Choose co-editions, which I think some people were a little upset about. It was an interesting moment. I wasn't working at the company back in 2006, 2007, but, my understanding is that they actually talked to a lot of kids and they were like, those books look old. I don't want those old books, So they were like, okay, not to mention that, like, there were all these different rights issues of like who owns what
sure.
of republishing things. And so So what we were bringing back to print wasn't this like exact version of what people remembered from what they grew up with. And to some people that was kind of sad. And so I think we got the rights, we like listened to the people, and that's what we have cooking up this fall. So we're very excited to offer a copy of the retro box to a lucky listener.
Okay.
So,
but the box, just to be clear for everyone listening, won't include my personal favorite Mystery of Chimney Rock.
no, I apologize.
No.
This is what the first, essentially 1 through 4 was from the original Choose Your Own Adventure series that was published by Bantam in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And as opposed to, like the Choose Code number 1 through 4, or just Edward Packard titles or something like that. That isn't to say that we will not have more box sets coming.
Okay.
So I guess you need to have us back onto the show.
Clearly.
So we can do another giveaway when we have that box to give. So, but yes, so the Mystery of Chimney Rock is coming back to print after a 25-year wait. And that is hitting stores in November, along with The Cave of Time and a few other of these Ed Packard, like legendary, iconic Choose Your Own Adventure books.
And I'm so happy by the way, to hear this enthusiasm for Chimney Rock. That was not a book that I read as a child, but I, of course, sat and reread it when we were bringing it back. And I've been talking about it nonstop so in addition to bringing old books back into print, we have new authors we're working on new books with. And I keep referring to it because it's such a great use of the format. I think my favorite thing about Chimney Rock personally is that the bad endings are where you find out most of the good stuff about the mystery. Like if you live and survive that house, most of the time you won't actually find out really what happened. You find out about the nature of the curse on that house and what happened to all those people who went missing by becoming one of those people who go missing. And I love how smart it is to both, like, yeah, it's a bad ending and you die horrifically, but you learn the solution to the mystery. Isn't that satisfying? I mean, which I think is such a clever way to write a book like that.
And no one can see it, even though we got the video, but we don't have high definition, thank goodness, because I'm kind of pasty, but you can't see the goosebumps I get just as you're describing it. Like, 'cause I'm picturing one of the pictures where the police officer opens the cupboard and finds what's inside, and this picture of him stepping back, and the art itself was eerie. And I'm just, So yeah, but to your point, that's a great point, Ben, because Choose Your Own Adventures are fun because I cheated sometimes. I did put my thumb on the choice page. I'm like, well, let's
that's not
flip
cheating.
back.
That's just how you do it.
No,
that's
just living. You have to do that.
I always felt like I'm like, I was sitting in the back of the cafeteria. I'm like, no one's going to see me. I'll put my thumb in here and mark the place so no one thinks I'm cheating. But that was seriously, I took these things. Another one of my favorites was A Spy for George Washington because I'm a history buff.
Nice,
and that's another fantastic. But I don't think I ever read a Choose Your Own Adventure that I was disappointed by. I feel like there was always something, the story, the choices are made. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm now going to be frozen in ice for the rest of my life. Just the cool things that would conjure up their image. And maybe it's just that Gen X brain because now everyone's on their iPads and iTablets. So one question is, and maybe you guys can't answer this, are there going to be digital copies available for people?
That's a great question. I mean, we had ebooks available a long, long time ago, and they were very overly complicated. But it's something that we have been talking about a lot. We get a lot of inquiries, very, very many inquiries about whether we're going to be doing ebook editions. And so I would say, like no promises, but probably. Okay. I do see that in our crystal ball. Yeah.
The tools available are so much better than they were the last time Choose tried to do this, and we've been having conversations with people about it, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah. I would say stay tuned, follow us on social media, subscribe to our newsletter as far as new product releases and new collaborations. Like we are always letting folks know what we have cooking.
I'm curious, Ben or Lizzie, or either one of you, the two who are running specifically your Threads account, because whoever's doing it is very good, very interactive.
Let me tell you, we at the office are all big fans of our mysterious social media.
Who knows who that is?
Gosh, who that could be.
I love
that's
following
definitely Lizzie.
It's so much fun on Threads to follow because it's just like your interactivity, and it'll be something unrelated, like Wendy's will put a post out and Choose Your Own Adventure will reply to Wendy's. Well, actually, and it's so humorous and so fun. So whoever, Lizzie, if it's you, then you're winning the Threads game. I gotta say.
Okay, thank you. I will take my Threads trophy.
I promise I didn't pay him to say this. I promise.
No, I was genuine because I think that's how I found out that you
This
were
is
active again
good.
was through
This is how this
Threads.
came together.
Yeah.
I know. It's an interesting thing being a brand that's also a children's series. That's also something that like adults really love. That has to do with like death. I don't know. Like we're a very strange combination of things, right? And so our relationship to social media has always been a little fraught because, we're not trying to like target kids on social media.
Right.
It's not something we've really ever put a big focus on. And when I came back to work at the company, I said, I think Threads is an interesting place. I'm going to do stuff on Threads. And our boss was like, okay, cool. So I've just kind of been doing random stuff on Threads and it's been working. I mean, I feel as though it's a place where people tend to be friendly. They tend to be looking to have a fun time. I think that what we really all need right now is a little bit of a distraction.
Yeah.
It feels good to feel a little silly. And honestly, I think that's a lot of the appeal of our books. For a lot of kids, for a lot of people, is it feels good to kind of escape into another world and have agency and make choices. And things are like completely insane and yet very controlled. So yes, I guess. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell your friends. Tell Wendy's. I don't know. I don't have a social media strategy, but I'm having a great time.
Good. That's all we can ask. And for those of you listening, we promised a giveaway, and I promised these two I wouldn't keep them too long. So if you're listening right now, here's the trivia question that you have to answer to win this box set. You can text us on the KTRS text lines at 84126. I need to know what Choose Your Own Adventure is my personal favorite. That's the question. If you've been listening this whole time, we've said it a couple times, so hopefully you picked up on it. So you can text us the answer at 84126. I'll try to watch the chats. Everyone who watches the show knows I'm horrible about watching the chats that come in through this, but and also Restream kind of changed the format, so I can't always see them very well, which is why I've got them on my phone. So I'll try to watch, but so to win that box set, and I believe, Lizzie, you said that's not going to be actually available until September, October. So if you win it, you'll have a bit of a wait, but we promise to get it to you.
Oh, it's going to be so worth it, though. We're so excited. It's really going to be very, like, genuinely gorgeous. Like, we're thrilled at how it came together.
And
and it includes a collectible poster as well.
Oh, nice. So the plan is to keep on going and hopefully release a box set every so often until however many are done, until you've got them all. Are there any plans to insert new titles in with the box set, or is this particular box idea going to satisfy that little nostalgic itch for people who, like me, who just love the original books?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as it stands, this is the first time that we are really publishing the books as we all remember them from when we were kids. So it's like a little bit of an experiment. We do have a number of other box sets that are available at our website and everywhere that books are sold that include different titles from the series. And so we, as Ben mentioned, also are publishing books from the original series as well as completely new authors, new content. So I would say that box sets are like a great gift. We love box sets at this company. And so I would imagine that there will be more to come, and that I have a feeling that people are going to be really happy getting these as presents for Father's Day, for the holidays. Like, it's just such a natural gift. And I mean, the fact that The Cave of Time is coming back, which I feel as though it's funny, we've talked about, I shouldn't say your favorite title and give it away or anything, but you know, The Cave of Time, which again, sorry, props, is the first book that was published by Bantam in the original Choose Your Own Adventure series. It is often the book that is held up, that is remembered by fans around the world of when they think of Choose Your Own Adventure, like this is really what they think about. And so for this to have not been available on shelves for such a long time, this is a really landmark moment for us, and really I kind of feel like for the world, not to be dramatic. But so this book is out in stores in August, available for pre-order everywhere. And the Retro Box does have this book inside of it. And I just feel like I need to shout it from the rooftops because, like, I am so excited. We are so excited. It was such a labor of love bringing this book back to print. And so the more we can do to get that word out, the better. So,
and that's why I'm thrilled to have you both on. I'm curious, as you're working, I mean, I can't imagine it feels much like work, although there's a lot of work involved, but I'm saying it's got to be such a fun job. Do each of you have a couple of your own favorite stories that either you remember reading when you were younger or the ones you found as you're going through and doing your job that's like, wow, this is really a great story?
So I actually, Cave of Time was one of my favorite childhood books. It was in my 4th grade classroom library, and I read the heck out of it. Although I was also somebody who was adverse to cheating. And I remember as a child, I mean, listen, I was in 4th grade. I was doing my best.
Right.
There was one page, because one of the things about the physicality of the books is when you're flipping past to get to something, you see these illustrations, and there's one page that has an alien on it. And I could never figure out how to get the alien ending as a kid. And then I left, and then the book wasn't in print anymore, and I could never read it again. So it's very satisfying as the editor in the modern era to go back and be able to genuinely read the alien ending and see what the heck that was all about. So that was a good time. So The Cave of Time was a very fond memory for me. I've always loved time travel stories, and that was a very early one for me. But I'm also, honestly, not to be like, a huge nerd here, but I'm genuinely so excited about a lot of the newer books that we're working on also as well. They're probably relevant to your listeners. We're working with a very, very deeply nerdy author named, his real name is Giacomo, but as Jacopo della Quercia is his pen name. He's doing an adaptation of At the Mountains of Madness, which is a Lovecraft novella. Yeah. Only instead of a bunch of adults in the Antarctic, it's a bunch of kids at a summer camp in the Antarctic, but still with, all the unknowable cosmic horrors. And he he had such a great time putting it together. And it's such a joy as like a nerd myself, professionally and socially, to read something like that. And, sometimes you read a book and you can just picture in your head the kid whose life is going to be like fundamentally changed by reading this book. Like, they're going to talk about this in 20 years and be like, oh my God, and then I read this book and I hadn't even thought about this stuff before. It's really, as an editor, that's a really good experience. So that's what's on my mind at the moment.
Yeah. And Lizzie, do you have a favorite or two?
Yeah, I mean, I started at ChooseCo, going on 10 years now. And I started as the intern. So I did a lot of late night reading Choose Your Own Adventure books. We used to go to trade shows and I would say, I have read every Choose Your Own Adventure book. And I can tell you about every single one of them. This is my secret skill. So it's hard to pick a favorite. We never pick a favorite.
Sure.
But I oddly really love Project UFO. This is like such a niche choice. Like no one loves Project UFO but me. And so take that for, I'm not even going to explain myself, but like this alien is your best friend and you can talk to each other telepathically and he's just a great guy. And I've always been really grateful for that alien. So I don't know. You're also talking to me at 10:30 at night. So
that's true. Yeah. You're on the East Coast.
That person was similarly, tired.
And speaking of, we should, I don't want to keep either of you too much later. But no, I appreciate you both coming on. And we did have a winner. It looks like we have a listener, Jamie, says, fun reads. These were awesome. We all agree they were awesome. Kevin, who was listening, got the answer right. Mystery of Chimney Rock was indeed my favorite of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. So, Kevin, stand by. We're going to get your information, and we'll get that shipped out to you. September, October-ish is when you'll look for it. For that, we'll get your information as soon as we go to commercial break, Kevin. So just stand by. I'll message you and get that information. If people want to find out more about the company, more about the two of you, what you do, how things are operating, and the new products you guys are launching, where do you send them?
I guess we're going to Threads, guys. All
Why not?
I'm just kind of joking. Obviously, our website, www.cyoa.com. But yeah, join the party on Threads. That's such a random plug. But we are on all of the places and all of the spaces, and we would love to connect with you all. We're really, really glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Again, Lizzi Middleman and Ben Wilgus, marketing director and one of the editors, respectively. Get out and find these. I know you can find the games. Go online, cyoa.com. Get the tarot card set. That's fun. But yeah, I'm so excited for all this that you've got coming down in the future here. So, Lizzi, Ben, thank you again so much for your time. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Take care. There they go. Yeah, if Kevin, congratulations. I've got your information there. I will go ahead and send you a notification to get that box set to you. We're going to let Ben and Lizzi go. And we're going to take a really quick break while we're at a nice pausing point here. We get the hotkey pulled back up. We'll let the Beatles play us out. So stand by. We've got my interview with legendary actor John Rhys-Davies coming up next. You're going to want to hear what he has to say. All that and more. Stand by.
New from Kenner.
Evil viruses are attacking the world's computers, and the computer warriors have been generated to stop them. A soccer trophy changes into an evil techno tank, forcing the computer warriors down. Hiding in a Pepsi can, the computer warriors fight back and deliver a direct hit. But the viruses keep coming, so the computer warriors convert a clock into a digital laser blaster and wipe out the virus air attack. Yeah! Computer warriors, expect the unexpected. Each sold separately. Computer and pencil sharpener available fall 1990. Only from Mattel.
Power Lords, extraterrestrial warriors.
I am Lord Power, leader of the Lords. Cryptog and Ragoth are attacking. We must help Psyduck defend Balkan Rock.
Power Lords.
Cryptog has 4 fists. Psyduck is finished. It's Lord Power. He zapped Cryptog's head. But Arcus has Psyduck.
Power Lords.
And empowers Psyduck Cryptog.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Still get chills every time I hear Kevin Conroy say that. Miss him so much. What a fantastic guy. Still doesn't seem quite real that he's gone. I was thinking about him the other day. I was like, oh, man. Oh, that's right. Some people just leave us a little too early. Want to make sure we tell you about a fun convention. It's one of the things that, I'm so glad I met Kevin Conroy as many times as I did. I went to conventions and he'd be there. I'm like, I got to have Kevin sign something, or I got to talk to Kevin. I got to interview Kevin. I got to interview him 4 or 5 times just for this radio show. Longtime listeners will know he's been on several times. Such a great guy. And we keep losing people. Like I was just talking with somebody else, George Perez and Neil Adams. We lost them both in the same year. If you want to see these people, get out and go to these conventions. Planet Comic-Con's coming up in Kansas City. Go see these people. Go tell them that you're grateful for the work they did and how much they impacted your life. What something they did or they voiced or they acted in or they wrote. Let them know that, because we don't know how long any of us will be here, and it's just one of those things. All that to say, I'm going to bring it back. City of St. Charles, Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're hosting. There's a reason we chose DiscoverStCharles.com to host our Comic-Con, Two Rivers Comic-Con. We're going to have Susan Eisenberg. We're going to have Maria Canals-Barrera. We're going to have Phil Lamar, Dan Reba, Alan Burnett. And that's just our animation people who we've got coming. You can come and meet them and see them. Buy some art from Dan Reba. Have Alan Burnett sign something. Get a Wonder Woman Justice League figure and have Susan Eisenberg sign it. They've got pictures at their desk. They'll be able to have you sign. But St. Charles is such a fantastic place. It's just always something going on down there, like Two Rivers Comic-Con, or like an ice sculpting festival, or like the Once Upon a Valentine's Day festival, or Christmas traditions. If you check out the website, discoverstcharles.com, they've got a things to do tab just for kind of like, hey, let's go check this out. They've also got the events page, which will tell you the big stuff that's coming up. Or you know what? Just wing it. Just go out there and get a nice coffee. Go out there and get a hot chocolate, depending on the weather, because the weather, literally, we've had tornadoes, snow, and 70-degree weather in the span of 4 days now here in St. Louis, so you never know what you're going to get. But whatever the temperature, whatever the weather, it's always a good time to check out historic St. Charles. They'll be bringing their Hit the Bricks tour back as the weather starts to become more tolerable out. So if you've never been on one of those tours, they're a lot of fun. You'll learn a lot about historic Main Street and the surrounding area. But just go out there, have some barbecue at Salt and Smoke, get a nice comfy sweater at the Cozy Shop. Check out First Capital Trading Post. Grab some cool Disney things they've got there. Very limited edition stuff and very cool stuff that they've got in that store. And grab some macarons at Sugar and Slice. Up and down North and South Main Street. A lot of great small shops, small businesses. And in this economy, it's never been more important to support small businesses. So start your trip, whether you're out of town, whether you're on the East Coast like our friend Lizzi Middleman from Choose Your Own Adventure, or you're right here in St. Louis and just haven't been across the bridge lately. Start your trip at the website, discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. We are going to go now to my interview. I'm so excited. John Rhys-Davies has been on my list to talk to for a long time now. Big fan of his. He's going to be at Planet Comic-Con. If you've not met him before, he takes time to interact with you personally, chat with you. He takes great pictures with you, and he's just a jovial, fun guy. Great to talk to, and here's my interview with this legendary actor. Joining me now, the legendary John Rhys-Davies. He's done it all from Indiana Jones to James Bond to Sliders, Lord of the Rings, and more. John, thanks for your time today.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. Dear fellow geeks that you all are.
I'm curious. I know Lord of the Rings, I don't know if there's anything you haven't been asked. I'm sure it's been covered in nauseating detail over and over. I'm very curious, when you do cons, like you'll be here in Kansas City at Planet Comic-Con, is that the thing you're most asked to sign things from, Lord of the Rings? You're asked the most questions about Lord of the Rings. Does that take up the majority of what people approach you about?
Well, it depends. It depends, really. I mean, there are some places where they really want Indiana Jones and every possible anecdote about Indiana Jones. But, of course, you have to keep a few of those for the darned biography whenever I get round to writing that one. But really, yes, Lord of the Rings, I would say, is the most popular.
And right before we started recording, you were talking about you're working on a script. Is a biography also coming? Is that in the works? Do we know how far along?
I started the biography about 10 years ago. We haven't got very far with it yet because there's so much extra work to do. Right at the moment, it's a commission thing. It's very commercial. I can't tell you anything about it because it's the sort of subject that people go, "Oh my God, why didn't I think of doing that?" But when I'm just about 5-10 pages from the end, and for every page I've written, I'll lay that I've read somewhere between 100 and 200 pages. It's to get the history right and to understand the history. But anyway, that's, and I love writing. Oh, and I love writing. It all comes to life in your mind. And of course, there are moments when you have that dark night of the soul when you think, would anybody be interested in this? Is it just me? I mean, should I just throw it all away and start again? But I haven't with this one because it's not just interesting, it's fascinating in places, it's wonderfly funny, it's incredibly sad, and virtually every bit of the history is true, is accurate. Anyway, enough. Talk to me about, ask me any question you like so that I can promptly say, no, I haven't got an answer.
Perfect. We'll start with my James Bond question because I'm a huge James Bond fan. The Living Daylights, you went up against Timothy Dalton's James Bond. I'm curious, were you a Bond fan before that? Were you offered that role? Did you have to audition for it? How did you land the part of General Pushkin?
Well, it was actually meant to be for another actor who'd had a heart attack, and I knew Barbara, and actually I'd worked with Timmy before. I'd always been a Bond fan. What man isn't a Bond fan, really? And it was great working with Tim again. I thought he was a superb Bond, to be honest with you. There was that great sense of danger about him. And the film was a very good one. Very good one.
Yeah, if all the Bond films to star in, that was definitely quite a banger for the sure. And you worked, obviously, with the previous Bond, Sean Connery, both in Sword of the Valiant in 1984 and again in Indiana Jones 3, Last Crusade. How did you like working with Sean Connery? I've heard most people have worked with him said he's an absolute delight. Some people say he could be a little prickly pear sometimes. How was your experience working with Sean on these two projects?
Look, the thing to remember about Sean is he was the ultimate alpha male. And it was natural, but it was there he trained as a boxer, he'd been a postman. He was physically very strong, he'd done some modeling. But, he'd grown up in a tough area of Glasgow, and, where you had to, you have to use your fists, and you had to, show a very hard face to the world at times. So that sort of explains some of his background. But charm, dear Lord, when the corners of those eyes crinkled up in a little smile, and those rather blue, thin lips just pursed slightly in a smile. Oh, dear me, there wasn't a girl from 8 to 95 that didn't go, oh, Sean. He'd learned his acting. He learned how to act, and curiously enough, because he didn't really train, though I may have got that wrong. I ought to reread his bio again. But as Cubby said, the guy who came after I said, he can't act, but then, Sean couldn't act until we got hold of him, I loved Cubby, by the way. But I loved him, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant as Harrison's father. And they play off each other so wonderfully well, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that look on their face when they realize they both, how can I put this? You've got a delicate audience. They both consorted with the same young lady.
Right, that's true. Which was a very clever little thing they put in there. I love that.
It was very, very funny, very funny. But I think it's a stretch to think of Connery as an intellectual, as you're not a dumb man by any means, but you would have a bit of a stretch to cast him as an intellectual. I found him completely believable as Professor Jones Sr. When he quoted somebody, or he did so with such authority and such familiarity that real scholars who have really studied the text have that assurance. I thought he played it brilliantly.
And I know I'm skipping around a little bit here, but I want to try to get some of these topics in. Your voice work. It seems like the first one you did that I could find was for Goldilocks, Rumpelstiltskin, and Red Riding Hood, the narrator. But then a few years later, Batman the Animated Series, which was huge. You came into that as Baron Varklov Yotzik, and it just went from there. You did Justice League, you did Animaniacs, you did Zeta Project. Do you enjoy voice acting because some voice actors have said that's not the same as being, on the stage or on screen, but other people really take to it. What is your feel on voice work?
I don't regard it as any different. Your voice should be able to convey everything, if the script is written, everything that the character has and needs. Our job is there always to tell the story, and you use your voice to do that as much as your body. It's just a difference of scale. Obviously, if I'm working on a stage, then there's a bit more air in the lungs and the voice is more powerful to project. But it's all basically the burning of energy to make a character real, a sentence believable. it's just a different sort of scaling and a different sort of emphasis. That's really all it's about.
From my research, I think you're the only person that I can find anyway who got to voice both Zeus in 1988's Goddess of Love with Vanna White and also Lord Hades in the Great Justice League episode Paradise Lost. I think you're the only one I could find.
It was great fun, yes. I very much, I played a number of gods, particularly in my youth. When I was at university and just afterwards, I played God in the mystery plays 3 times, largely in the church tower of St. Peter Mancroft in Norwich. And some of my friends did note that after I played God 3 times, there was perhaps a slight change of my character in the sense that I became a little bit more omniscient.
Do you think that's an accurate statement?
No, malicious little devils they were, that's all.
With the TV show Sliders, I know you've said before that you're a fan of the sci-fi, that you'd wish Sliders had gone a slightly different route and not been kind of a let's do this gimmick. You want it to be more hardcore sci-fi. There's talk of a reboot every so often. If they did a reboot, would you be willing to be attached? If it would depend on who's writing and directing, what would that possibly look like if for you to come back and either reprise Professor Oturo or maybe take a different role? We're going to get the answer to that question right after this. Plus, he's going to tell us about the role that he was be most anxious to reprise. Was it Professor Oturo or one of his other ones? You'll find out in just a few minutes. Keep it here on the Big 550. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Please stand by.
And Spider Flyer. You control every move of Dargon and Spydrax and their insectoids. This is Heroic Pinsor, another defender of good, and his attack crawler. Help him prevent the evil Skulk and his treacherous insectoid from discovering the secrets of the ancients. Secrets buried long ago when the last survivors hid them deep within the planet. Now you control the Sector's every move, and the ultimate battle for survival is in your hands. Collect the fierce armies of Dargon and Spydrax with their attack insectoids and fierce legions of warriors. Sectors by Coleco.
Legions of power, build for battle.
Legions of Power, awesome motorized machines you build for battle, each sold separately.
Build for battle.
Landwalker, power on! Push on battle crawl!
Legions of power, build for battle.
Legions of Power, new from Tonka.
Calling all boys for Army gear. Weapons check.
Hi everyone, my name is Julian Glover. I'm an actor and I'm here on Geek to Me Radio.
If you missed my interview with Julian Glover, talking again, just like we are with John Rhys-Davies about James Bond and Indiana Jones. You can find those on the website, geektomeradio.com. Click on the Celebrity Interviews tab. Joey V has them all laid out alphabetically. Look under the J's for Julian Glover, and you will find him right there. Pretty soon this one will also be up under the J's under John Rhys-Davies. We'll make sure we tell you about our official comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. Did you guys know there was a comic book adaptation of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they did Temple of Doom, and they did The Last Crusade? I don't know if they did the last one, the last two. There's only one other one after that. But they've got comic book adaptations. You might be able to find those at Bugs Comics and Games. He's right there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri. You can catch him from either Highway 364 or from Highway 70. Check him out. Go look through the back issue bins. Tons of cool stuff to fit any budget. He's got $1 books, $2 books, $5 books, and beyond. Some beauties in the case. I keep eyeballing that first appearance of Punisher that's there. Amazing Spider-Man 129. And he's got books on the wall. Just going in there and just going through the back issues, that's my happy place. If they served hot tea while I was there, if you could combine the London Tea Room and Bugs Comics Games, I don't think I'd ever leave. But if you are maybe outside of the area, follow him on Instagram, Bugs Comics and A&D Games. He'll put stuff up on there, and you might see a variant cover or a book that your local comic book store didn't get in. Just send him a message and say, hey, I'd like to pick that up. He'll send you an invoice, and once you pay, he ships that book right to you. So he can be your local comic book store from miles away. Technology is wonderful, isn't it? Check him out on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Bugs Comics and Games. Give the page a like so that Larry knows you are appreciative of these brick and mortar comic book stores, which we need more of. Comic books online is not the same thing. I like to go in and pick them up every Wednesday, and so should you. Wednesdays are new comic book day. Go in there and start a pull list. That way you don't miss a comic. If you can't get it on a Wednesday and you're worried, oh, Spider-Boy is going to sell out, that way you can have it on your pull list. Larry puts it aside before the doors ever open, and your copy of Spider-Boy or Amazing Spider-Man or Batman or Detective or the new Silverhawks or Thundercats from Dynamite Comics will be sitting in your cubby waiting for you to pick up whatever day you finally get in. Bugs Comics and Games. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Talking with John Rhys-Davies, and I'd asked him about Sliders. All the talks about the reboots and everything like that. I was curious if he would be down for doing a reboot or a new role, the same role. And here's what he had to say about reprising his role or coming back for Sliders.
I have I wrote a very clear plan for how Sliders could be rebooted and should be rebooted, and would revitalize the franchise. Obviously, we'd go back to the original 4 again and put them together, and that would be fun. And then I would certainly say stay for at least 1 season, possibly 2. You understand, I'm 81 now, and though I consider myself pretty fit and pretty coherent still, time is running low, and I have so many things that I have to do. But I always feel that I mishandled that situation, though, to be honest with you, who wants to spend a life, trying to explain to people that if you're doing science fiction, it really does help to have read some science fiction, or even perhaps know about science. There is just a series is a very serious demand on your time and energy.
Sure.
But I would happily go back to reboot it. And my idea would then have been that as we are moving from reality to reality, we pick up some people and effectively we test them with the audience on the show, and we find the ones that are going to win and keep an audience. Mm-hmm. Then I would drop out, and I don't know about the others, at what point they would want to drop out. But we would have then a young, fresh, and interesting cast by about season 4, season 5, so that Jerry would be effectively the Arturo, the Arturo in his own different way now.
Okay.
In charge of it. And by season 8 or 9, then they could let the series collapse again, go down again, and then revitalize it if it was successful, with the newcomers already in place, and see them 20 years on and how they've managed. And it really would be a very... There is still a real audience out there, but only just. And it's a valuable franchise that they did not really understand the value of at the time, and it could have been their Star Trek in if they'd understood what they had, and it could still be on the air.
Yeah.
But for that, you need really good writers, and we stopped really good writers, or they stopped really good writers, joining the writing team. It was very sad, but there is an audience, and there is still an audience. The problem is that it took place at a time when people were making the transition between written contracts and online contracts. And there's some contractual dispute as to who really has the rights to the show. And because really the people who are running these studios at the moment have no idea now of what is successful or what is potentially successful or not. Bad choices when they're made are made, and choices are only made rarely. In the old days, there would be, every studio would have 5 or 6 new pilots for television. Now there is no television, and if you can get 6 pilots in a season out, it's a good season for pilots. The truth is, there used to be 50 or 60 new pilots every year.
Yeah.
And it is not wholly the studio's fault, because they have no means of judging whether a show is successful or not.
Right.
Because everything has gone to streaming, you see.
Yeah. Which, yeah, we could spend a whole hour talking about what streaming has done to TV if we went down that one. I know we got just a few minutes left. I wanted to ask you, the range of projects you have worked on over your career have been so vast. Everything from Shakespeare to, like we talked about, voice work. You'll do a very serious, heavy project, but for every heavy serious project, you do a movie, and this is gonna be a deep cut. For those of you who've seen it, you know it's a great movie, Bad Cupid, which I thought was fantastically fun. What is it that draws you to certain projects? Because you're picky with what you do, but at the same time you have such a range. What is it that draws you to a project and makes you say yes to a script?
I think sometimes it's a situation. Sometimes it's just another actor in it that you really want to work with. And that can be disastrous sometimes. I'm not going to mention the names. But you have to, you don't want to keep playing the same part all the time. You want to do something, different. And I'm hoping, in theory, I've got 5 projects to do this year, pretty much for certain. One of them is a great classic piece. But one of them is a Welsh zombie movie.
Ooh.
My God, I can't wait to do that, you see. Where Wales is just a natural place for zombies when you think about it.
Obviously,
I'm going to have such fun.
Being Welsh, I'm sure that was immediate, like, oh, this sounds so much fun.
Yes, absolutely. But, it's fun and joy. I mean, when you do something like The Princess Diaries, the joy we had making that, all of us, every day laughed ourselves silly. And there is possibly a chance of a reboot of that as well.
Oh.
So I would like to make my pitch to you. Obviously, if we do indeed investigate the realm of my country, Genovia, then of course by this time I should of course be Prime Minister. But in the event that I am not Prime Minister, I think we should seriously examine the question of whether the monarchy is a suitable means of government for Genovia in this modern age. And should it be that the country should feel that the monarchy was superfluous and we were to elect a republic and a president, I would, of course, be prepared to serve the people as president for life. I would bring you all together with this simple mantra. Together, let you and I make Genovia great again. I have your vote.
I would vote for you in a heartbeat. Absolutely. No matter what you were running for, honestly. I mean, you're John Rhys-Davies. So why not? And my very final question before I let you go, we mentioned you'll be at Planet Comic Con and you'll be there with another Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio. I loved your portrayal of Wilson Fisk. Was that something that they were hoping would be a pilot
to take a Daredevil series? Did you have were there any rumblings of that back at the time, or did you know it was kind of a one-off?
I don't know. I can't remember now. There's so many of them. But Vincent is magnificent. And who else is there? Is Andy going to be there? Andy Serkis, or is he still in New Zealand?
I believe he's listed on the sheet. Yes.
Oh, very good, very good. And is Chris Wenham going to be there?
I believe he was. Yeah, you've got a nice couple of reunions there.
We have such fun when we get together. It's great fun. But there's the host of real talent there, and it's a joyous thing to meet the audience. I more and more I realize that my long-standing commitment to looking after the audience was absolutely right. But they've also taught me a number of other things. And I find that the older I get, the more and more I like people. And I really put that down to fan conventions, actually, because I don't think when I was a younger man I had much time for other people. Anyway, all I'm saying is this. Do come. We're going to have great fun. And it's a good way to spend a weekend, strolling around, seeing vendors. They'll be there with wonderful goods. And do you realize, for instance, I didn't know this, but I learned the other day that the rise of Comic-Cons and conventions has created a number of jobs for people who started out just making a costume for themselves and then got asked to do a prop for somebody else. And slowly it's turned into a business. And the last figures that I saw were that Comic-Cons were responsible for the creation of 27,000 new businesses.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's a figure I didn't even know. So I'm now voting for you, and I feel smarter and more educated because of our talk. So this is
poor deluded you.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. You've been on my list of celebrities for so long who I've wanted to have on. I sincerely appreciate the time, and I look forward to seeing you again at Planet Comic-Con next weekend. Thank you so much for your time. This has been an absolute delight.
Looking forward to meeting you, my dear fellow, and have a good weekend.
You too. Take care.
Such a great guy. If you're going to be at Planet Comic-Con, my goodness, seeing John Rhys-Davies is alone a reason to go check that out. They always have such great guests. Like I said, you can get 2 Kingpins for the price of 1. You can go talk to John Rhys-Davies and then just go right over and talk to Vincent D'Onofrio as well. These Comic-Cons are so much fun. And that's one of the reasons we're wanting to bring one here to St. Charles. So I know I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Let me just mention it again. 2 Rivers Comic Con. The number 2 riverscomiccon.com is the website. It's happening Memorial Day weekend in historic St. Charles. We're going to have the Foundry Art Center, which we are dubbing the Hall of Justice, and we're going to have the Steel Shop, which we're dubbing the Baxter Building. Comic book fans, you'll get it. It's the headquarters of the Fantastic Four, their original headquarters. So we'll have our comic creators like Roy Thomas and Chuck Patton and Keith Williams and Stephen Butler. They'll all be at the Baxter Building. We'll have our animation people like Dan Reba, Alan Burnett, Susan Eisenberg, Phil Lamar, Maria Canals-Barrera. They will be at the Foundry, the Hall of Justice. You can come out there. There are tickets available now on the website. Weekend passes, or if you just can only make it out one day, that's fine. We're not going to hurt our feelings if you can only come out on Saturday or Sunday. You can get your tickets there on the website. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of cool stuff planned that we're still working on, and we're less than 70 days out, so I'm starting to feel a little bit of stress and pressure now that make sure everything goes off correctly. But please go check out the website again. I'm a co-owner of this con, so I really want this to go well. So if this goes well, we've already got plans for a year 2 and year 3. St. Charles is a great place to have it. There's lots of free parking all around. We're going to have some special stuff set up, and you'll be able to get some cool perks at some of the local businesses as well. We'll talk more about that as we get closer. So check it out, 2 Rivers Comic Con, the number 2 riverscomiccon.com. Grab your tickets now, and we will see you there, hopefully. That's going to pretty much do it. We're wrapped up. I know Joey finally saw Black Bag. He wasn't as big of a fan of it as I was, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, but, that's all right.
Steven Soderbergh, he has been working exclusively with streamers lately. It seems like, was it Kimmy? Full Circle? Was that a TV show? High Flying Bird. These were just streaming exclusives. So I'm glad he's back in theaters with 2 movies so far. Presence is like a ghost story. I can't wait to see that. So I'm glad Steven Soderbergh is putting them in the theater. But yeah, it was a little, I don't know. It was a little repetitive black bag for me, and I felt like I was wrong. I feel like you're right and I'm wrong.
No, there's no right or wrong. It's just different opinion, taste. But thank you very much to Joey V, always making the show sound and look as good as it does. I'm gonna twist the camera around because there he is.
Hey, what's
up? Look at that face. Thank you to Lizzi Middleman and Ben Wilgus from Choose Your Own Adventure. Thank you to Kevin Cerise was our winner. We'll get that sent out to you in September. Thank you to John Rhys-Davies. We'll be looking forward to seeing him at Planet Comic Con. Thank you to all of you who listened tonight. Until next week, my friends.
That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Wales. Good night.
From ABC News, I'm Wayne Cabot. More than 60 tornadoes have been reported in 8 states since Friday. The death toll now stands at 40.
In Tylertown, Mississippi, homes destroyed.
Can you stand? You want to go back down?
And in Elliott, first responders rescuing survivors trapped under debris